Hey there, Riverman fans. I'm Jason Ruff for another episode of the Drydock podcast. It's the podcast where we take a look back at the Riverman season that was and get a chance to talk to some of your favorite Riverman personalities now that the ship is in dry dock. Our next guest is coming to us via Zoom for the first time this year because he is the hardest man to track down in Peoria. It's because he's the busiest man in Peoria. I'm talking about a head coach who has now just finished 11 seasons here in the River City, has more than 400 career coaching victories in the regular season and in the playoffs. It is the most in SPHL history. He's the winningest coach in this league. Oh, and by the way, he's now a four-time SPHL Coach of the Year, most in league history. The Scotty Bowman of the SPHL, Jean-Guy Trudel. Guy, you looking good, my friend. Are you able to take a little bit of a breath of how busy you are in the off season? It just doesn't stop for you, I guess.
I did. The month of May was really nice actually. I slept a lot for about 2 weeks, so it was really good. Being with the family also. They sacrifice a lot during the year. I'm never home, so for me to be home a little bit more is really, really nice. And I know Angie and the kids want to do things all the time, but I'm never home. So for me, being at home is like a vacation. So it's been good, and now my camps just started in early June, well, end of May. So now it's crazy time, but it's great because the youth hockey program is growing in Central Illinois, and we're excited about this upcoming season. And these camps are just they're getting crazier every year. Phenomenal families and kids that are joining the True Hockey program, and great coaching. I'm lucky to have the coaching staff I am. So I've been blessed, but really busy the last few weeks here.
Tell us a little bit about True Hockey this year. I know these are your summer camps that you've had on for years and years and years. Normally, you've had players like Alec Hageman or Zach Wilkie come in and help coach. Is it a little different this year? Obviously, with Hageman up in Wisconsin and Wilkie now announcing his retirement. Do we still have some Riverman favorites coming in and helping out with the kids? And how is this year different than previous years for True Hockey?
Yeah, it's the same. It's actually crazier the numbers. I mean, we have over 100 in my elite camp, and we train over 20. And I just did a shooting camp. I started 3 shooting camps this summer, and they filled up really quick. So they're done. I still have Alec Bear, Carlos Fornares that are helping out. My big guy's always been Blake Ortman. He's my sidekick. He's my co-coach. He calms me down when the chaos starts, and he's very good at what he does. And then Dylan Bentley's starting to be a star in the coaching rank, even though he's still in college. He does a phenomenal job for us with our camps, and he's got camps of his own. So it's getting bigger, but I always say it's just selling the game of hockey. We want our athletes to play different sport and play tons of sport in the summer, but it's always good to keep working on your game a little bit here and there, and that's what we're doing all summer. So camps are crazy. The only face we don't see as much as Hags, of course, by moving. We miss him. He was a big part of what we did here in the summers, but he still comes down here and there, and we talk a lot. And he got a great job doing type of the same thing. He's a skill coach now in Wisconsin and the Minnesota area. So happy for him. He's doing what he loves. He's in a good place right now with his family. So we're really excited for him also.
I remember a lot of the conversations that you and I have had that coaching is a lot of teaching. And I think one of the things that has made you so successful in this league is your ability to teach fundamentals, not just obviously to kids that you do in the offseason, but also to players coming out of college. Like how many players have come to you or I've overheard saying, I've learned more working with Jean-Guy Trudel than I have at any point even since or including college. How important is that teaching aspect to these players at the lower professional ranks in order to get them to be big time contributors either on the ice or even at the next level if that's what they want to do?
It's the absolute key. I mean, it's easy to just recruit good players and just go with it and sell them out if they don't do the job. It's really challenging every single year to take any player and try to teach them the game the right way. And a lot of times it's only a few details here and there to change their game to make them successful at what they do because everybody's got different roles. First off, you're selling yourself and you're selling the organization for them to accept their role and accept what they have to do to be successful. They have to buy in into what you're selling And three, once they do that, then it's easy to teach a kid that wants to learn. And also, like I said, just changing his game here and there. You're never going to really change their skating stride, stuff like that. But if you change a few things in their game, how they read the play, their eyes, where they're looking, so just the little things that you do, but teaching is over and over again. It's not just going to happen. So I always say teaching is extremely hard because you're actually, I think, more tired than players after practice
Mhm.
because you really, really were focused on absolutely every aspect of the practice. And even if it's just a stick not in the right position. And once you get good at seeing all those details and enforcing them every single rep, they just get better. And I was lucky over the years. I don't think I got many players that did not buy in because without the buy-in, you can't really teach anything. They have to want to learn. They have to want to get better. So, and it's the same thing as youth hockey right now. I told my three groups this year how proud I am. They come in and we didn't touch the puck, but for me to be a great skater, there's all kinds of patterns and skill pattern that you have to learn with your feet, your stick, and it's all your spine. Everything is combined, and they're buying in and getting better every single day. So I'm very, very lucky, I think, to have started a culture a long time ago that people just come in and buy in. And then I love the teaching part. I always said I'm not a good coach. I love the teaching part. The coaching part, I wish I didn't have to discipline. I mean, I wish I could just teach. Unfortunately, if you want to build a certain type of culture, you have to be a little bit hard on athletes sometimes. But for me, the teaching is the thing that really pushes me to get better. And that's why I study the game. I told you when I have like this afternoon, we didn't have anything. And like right now, I'm just watching conferences and making sure that my next skate is the best skate ever because I'm so fortunate that parents and kids want to pay a certain amount of money to come to my camp. So I really don't want to let them down. I want to make sure that I'm ready mentally to teach them everything I've got.
Well, I think it's kind of shocking that a coach of the year who's also been coach of the year 4 times to say he's not a good coach. But you do touch on something that I think is critical, which is the 95%. 95% of the time, you're not going to have the puck on your stick. It's something that I know you've preached to this team. It's something that we've talked a lot about on our conversations and on the air. And how important is it to really get players to buy into that mentality that 95% of the time you're not going to have the puck on your stick, and that's what determines wins or losses in not only games but also playoff series.
And that's the hardest thing because it's not fun. The 95% is not fun. If you have to forecheck and making sure you're finishing, stick in the right place, and then if he does make a pass, you have to muddy the tracks, you have to stay in front of him, you have to bump him. It's all the hard work and it's not fun. So you have to find the right athletes to buy in because you don't. And I think Evansville, that's the way they won this year. They won with phenomenal goaltending, probably goaltending that we won't see a lot in our league anymore in the playoffs. And away from the puck, I thought they were very hard to play against. They bought in defensively away from the puck to being a very hard team to play against, and that's why they won. So for us to be able to sell that to players, that's the difficult part. Once they bought it, the teaching part is a lot easier if you buy in. So it's everything in hockey. I just watched a conference actually talking about Matthew Barzal, which I'm a big fan the way he skates and the way he has puck possession, and they were talking about, for every minute he touches the puck about 5 seconds. So if he plays, 15 minutes, he doesn't have the puck more than a minute and a half in the whole game. And you think about that, that's pretty crazy. He's going to play 15 minutes of ice time, which is an offensive guy. So a lot of situation will be offensively, and he still only has a puck for a minute and a half. So everything away from the puck, offensively, how you get open, how you work, how your deception comes in play to find that next space. Defensively, how you back check, the way you back check, the way you read plays. So for me, everything just comes without the puck, and then after that, with the puck, there's only 3 or 4 points that you have to emphasize with the puck because it's all about your eyes. If you're able to play the game with your eyes and looking in the right spots all the time, the information gathering is a lot easier. So it's a fun process, and like you said, I'm learning as a coach every single day. I watch one conference every day. I learn. I try to put it in my bag and get better every single year.
And I think that is really what separates, coaches of your caliber versus everyone else, the constant desire to learn and also hold high standards. I want to go back a little bit because, like I said earlier in the open, you just finished your 11th season. You have 400 plus wins under your belt. And I know you're not one to talk about yourself, but I'm going to make you do it anyway. I apologize in advance. But when you look back over the course of these 11 years, what has been the most challenging aspect for you, Jean-Guy, the coach?
finding the right players
Okay.
at our level. So I always say I dream of a day that, I could coach in the NHL
Mhm.
and you have the same team and you're coaching the AHL the same things. So you have about 40 skaters
Mhm.
that are doing the exact same thing, and you keep working over and over with those players because if they got there, they bought in. They're good players. For us at our levels, is we're trying to find diamonds in the rough. We're trying to find the right character, the right people, the right role people, and we understand at our level, ECHL level, salaries are not huge. So for us to be able to find the right people to buy in for that salary and doing the 95% every single day and pushing themselves, because we call it our NHL in Peoria. So I believe that as a player, if you play for us, that's where you should be at the time. So you're still a pro hockey player and that's your NHL at the time because that's where your skill level is at.
Mhm.
So to ask them to do all those things is very, very difficult. So I think the biggest and hardest thing is finding the right players. And I was so fortunate for years with the Nick Nevilles, the Hagemans, all those guys that Jimmer. I was so lucky to have those guys coming back, year after year. And I think that's why we made those whatever it was, 4 or 5 finals in 7 years or whatever it was, because of that retainment of those really, really important players that are buying in a certain culture, and they showed the way to the new guys. Now it's been a little bit more difficult last year with all the new guys coming in. You are trying to teach a culture, you're trying to teach a game, you're trying to teach your systems, you're trying to teach the right character to have, and you're trying to teach to be a professional to 3/4 of the team. So it's a very difficult thing. And I think once Hags and now Wilkes and Jimmer and all those guys leave, I think it's year after year is going to be a new challenge of trying to put together a great product in 7 months,
Yeah.
because I think retainment is getting harder and harder every single year. So it's been challenging. We're working hard. I'm lucky I have Eric Levine helping me with the recruitment process, but it's difficult to find the right people.
This has been, as you are fully aware and that you've admitted to me, one of your more challenging seasons. Over 60 different players wearing the Riverman sweater this year. With everything you and Coach Levine, who we had on the show previously, have had to endure this year with call-ups, with injuries, with family issues, with players just saying, you know what, I don't have it in me anymore. I'm done. What has been the most rewarding aspect of this past season for you personally?
Well, I still think that the players that were left over, like the Nick, I mean the Jalad, the Wilkie, Bearsy, and those guys that were left over, we still had enough time to kind of teach a culture to a lot of those players that came in, and I think they really enjoyed. So I always say your recruitment a lot of times comes from your players also. So the players that played here understand how we do things. I think for an SPHL level, we're as professional as any AHL team. I mean, we have a great office staff upstairs. We do things the best way we can with the budget that we have, and I think players realize that and they come into a great place. So it helps with the recruiting, and it also helps like through the 60 players. I think a lot of guys were happy and do want to come back. Are they going to come back? You never know, because like me, if somebody finds a great job, he's not going to come back. If somebody finds a job in Europe and they want to go visit Europe, so it's always challenging at this time of the year. But I think we show that our product is a great product, and also that our organization is a top-notch organization to all those players. So for us, it's about selling our program, selling our organization for them to want to come back or to talk to their players in college that they played with to say, when they're trying to choose to come to Peoria or somewhere else, that they want to choose Peoria.
The resiliency of the culture and how easily it can be sold. It's not just a couple of guys holding it up and when they leave, it all collapses down. No, this is a resilient structure that, can be sold to the next generation.
It is. We built it for so many years. I mean, it just doesn't happen. But I always say, culture is a word that we throw around quite a bit. But no matter what, I told you this before, business, no matter what you do in life, there is going to be a culture built. Like no matter where, no matter what organization, there's a culture being built, and for me, it was really important to build the right one with the right type of people, and I think that culture is cemented right now, and we just got to keep finding those players that are going to keep transferring that culture to different players coming in.
Speaking on that culture, I want to go back to late November of this past season when you officially became the winningest head coach in SPHL history. You get the Gatorade bath from your son Tristan Trudel and Zach Wilkie after the post-game interview on the ice. You go back in the locker room, you're giving your speech, and all of a sudden Alec Hageman shows up seemingly out of nowhere. The surprise on your face was worth 1,000 words. What was going through your mind in that moment, and when did it really hit home that you had accomplished something special and your team had accomplished something special for you?
I don't want to put a damp on the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But remember when Ags would score 3 goals and you asked me, yeah, Hag had a great game. And what did I always say? Yeah,
Knew this was coming. Yeah, yeah, he's supposed to.
he's supposed to. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And for me, if I coach long enough and I have great players, I'm supposed to win a lot of hockey games. You know what I mean? And kind of that's my job, because if I win a lot, I'd fire myself. So for me, it's always been that way. That's my mindset when I played.
Mhm.
If I'd go in a game and I was first star and score 3 goals, well, everybody was excited for me, but I was supposed to. Like, this is I don't play to be average, or I don't coach to be average. You know what I mean? So for me, I was more excited just to see Hags in town. I hadn't seen him in like over a month and a half, and me and my captain, we had a great relationship over 10 years, and even past that, I used to teach him when he was young and
Mhm.
still playing in college or juniors. So for me, I had a long relationship with Hags, and I think it's more of a kind of best friend relationship now.
Yeah.
And so just seeing his face, you know me, I don't. When I get to 1,000 wins, we'll talk about it. But until then, like, to me, it's just I'm old, so I'm going to get some wins. I'm lucky enough to have good players, so we're going to win a lot of hockey games. But to see my captain there and to realize that those relationships that I build every year are going to be strong and forever, that's the most important thing for me. But at the end of the day, when we're all going to retire, we're all going to be forgotten except for those relationships that we build. So for me, those are more important than anything else.
Talking with Eric Levine in our previous episode, he couldn't stop gushing about how impactful you have been on his growth as an assistant coach. I think he referred to you, and I'm just paraphrasing here, as like the smartest hockey mind he's ever seen. And all that is to be expected. But what did Eric Levine over the past 2 years do for you, if not to give you kind of a second win, but kind of reinvigorate yourself as a head coach and as someone who just wants to come to the rink every day?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'll be really, really honest. By Eric doing a lot of the little things, it got me a chance to think more about how to make it fun and to have those hard conversations, to say the right things through the conversation to the players. I think he allowed me to just be a head coach
Mhm.
and be more involved in the day-to-day communication with my players, because he does a lot of the video work with the D's, he does a lot of video work with the goalies. You got to remember, I did all that.
Yeah.
So once you have a plan on Monday to do video in the morning before practice, come in, then you have your, let's say it's a goalie video, you go through every save on the weekend, you talk about it. Those are just hours and upon hours of not having time for anything else. So I never had time to really sit down with players. If I saw they were struggling one week, bring them in the office, have that hard conversation that we need to have to make sure that they feel confident, that they feel that, they have a certain importance. Because, like me, when you don't feel great about yourself,
Mhm.
you feel like your importance to an organization goes down. So for me, it was more about, being able to be that coach that just, understands when it's the moment to have those, conversations. And it was really nice because I just focused on being a head coach instead of a video coach, D coach, a goalie coach, and all those kind of things that Eric took a lot of pressure off of me. And Eric is such a positive guy. Like, even if I come to the rink and I was disappointed of the night before and I'm ready to do video, and I'll punch hard my keys sometimes
Yeah.
when I'm upset.
Old
He
John
kind of
Tortorella in the
Yeah, he
pregame
kind of
interview.
yeah, he calms me down, and he, like, he's always like, there's always a positive thing. And I understand that, but like, he kind of puts it in another, like, we did this, though, we did this, and now we just got to work on this. And I think bouncing ideas of what we should attack that week in practice, and it makes it so much easier. But I think his biggest influence is that he just allowed me time to be more of a head coach and be able to have more relationship and conversation, the important ones, with our players that are really important for them to feel good going into the next game or the next week of practice. So it's been a blessing. He's He's a hard worker, and he can say any compliment he wants on me, but he's a very good hockey mind.
Mhm.
And this year, I learned to have enough confidence that I delegate a lot to him because I know he's going to do it well. The first 2 3 months, I would go over the video that he's done to make sure it's the right thing, to make sure he says the right things. Now he's got free range on, if he wants to do an individual video, go ahead. I know you're gonna,
Yeah.
he's kind of got the language down. He understands our culture. He understands what we're doing system wise, and he's very good at it. So no, it's been a blessing. I'm lucky, and honestly, you're right. It gave me a lot more life. Like I'm not as tired because I go coach at PYH at night, and a lot of times I'd have to do videos till 4:45, cut the last so it's ready for the next day, then be exhausted, go the other place. Now it gives me time to actually do what I need to do to always be fresh every single day.
I wasn't lying when I said you're the busiest, one of the busiest men in Peoria. But I think also, Eric, one of the things he definitely did take off your plate, I think he took some of those road trips that maybe you were a little like that early morning road trip to Evansville. I bet that has helped not only you in terms of recharging the batteries and recharging the mind, but also maybe to give the players a little bit of a something different, a little bit of a curveball on the bench. Because something, no matter how good the message is over time, if it's the same message over and over and the same messenger, sometimes that message can get stale.
It is, and it's absolutely right. It's a great thing that sorry, the family's coming home right now. So it's a great thing of for me because like me, those trips sometimes those morning games, 5 hours away, they get long, especially when you're older. The bus gets a little bit less comfortable when you get a little bit bigger. So it's nice for Eric, and it allows me also because I have a tremendous passion for my youth hockey,
Mhm.
and we had that talk with Bart when with all that happened with Eric and Alec Agaman that was supposed to be a coach also, and I'm lucky to have an owner and a boss that allows me to do all the little extra things also, and I the first two big CCM tournaments I always want to hit because that's where we make our mark, and by having Eric there, he allows me that little bit of a little time to kind of do other things, like you said, keep me fresh. And then I always say when the youth hockey is done, then I spend my 15 hours a day at our rink to make sure that we're ready for the playoffs. So no, it's been a blessing, man. I'm lucky. I do what I love, and like you said, right now I have a little bit more time to, attack different endeavors that are really passionate of mine too. So it's been fun.
You've been at this job for a number of years. You've been in a number of buildings, a number of environments. What's your favorite road environment to go in and coach a game in the
Huntsville.
city? Huntsville. Why?
Yeah, well, first they have sellout pretty much. I don't know how many in a row now. Two, I think their game day is phenomenal. I think they do a phenomenal job game day of getting the fans going. They have a great show. Three, they're all like from, the staff that you don't hear about to the owner. They're all always really nice. They come and shake your hand. Our meals are always great. They take care of you. Your locker room is like an NHL road locker room. I mean, it's nice. You feel comfortable as a coach. So it's been always my favorite. Love the city, clean city, good restaurants. So to me, the atmosphere in Huntsville in the city, I love that trip. I think, and they're always a great team. So you're going to be challenged. They don't lose a lot at home. So for us, it's always a great challenge going in there. And I always say for some reason the fans are not. They don't like Peoria that much, and I love all the fans in the league, but for some reason, Peoria is not always their favorite team. So we go there and the fans give it to us, and I love that though. That just gives me more ammunition to go after it.
Well, why did everyone hate the Red Wings when Scotty Bowman was coaching them?
Yeah, I think sometimes we're lucky enough to have great players. We win quite a bit, so people don't like they don't like the winners a lot. And we I always say we play very fair, but we always play fast and hard. That's always been our style. So, but yeah, Huntsville by far. Pensacola is always nice when we have a few days to spend there because
Yeah,
you
you need
finally
a couple
see.
days in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you finally see a beach and the sun because the Midwest for about 4 or 5 months it's pretty dark. But atmosphere in the rink, there's no question to me it's Huntsville.
What is the crowd or environment you want? Like, if you're getting into a playoff series, what's the crowd environment you want to avoid because you just know it's going to be a brawl and it's going to be a tough outing there?
I think as much as we had success against Pensacola is always hard, and it's more because of the crowd is loud in the playoffs, and they love
Oh
their
yeah.
team. but it's also the ice is not very good. It's slow, it's soft, it bounces all over the place. And the humidity, guys,
Oh
just
yeah.
you have to, I mean, there's dehydration. Like it's crazy how they sweat there and how hot it is. And as a coach, we finish a game and we're soaked. Like the humidity in that building is crazy. And they're so used to winning in Pensacola, like, the 7, 8 years ago when they had those dynasties, that their fans are very, very passionate about their team in the playoffs. So to me, that's always been an extremely tough place. Even if we had success lately, it's tough. Lately, sorry, it's been really, really tough in the playoffs against them.
I'm surprised you didn't say Roanoke because, again, Southern team, so you still have that humidity factor, especially in the playoffs. The fans are right on top of you. The way that building, the Berglund Center is put together, the fans are right on top of you. And they are just brutal, man. They are relentless. I mean, give them credit. They do their homework and they come with a passion, but they are relentless. Like some of the signs, some of the stories I've heard from you or from players of what they've heard said at them is like, man, these guys are not letting up, and they are passionate about their hockey down there in Virginia.
They are. I think it's because mostly that we only played them twice in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
we only always played just one game there, so it wasn't like we were there for a long time. We
Mhm.
just kind of played the game and came back. Pensacola, it seems like we've been playing them in the playoffs at least 7 of the 12 years we were in the league, or so. It's I just been there more, but yeah, Roanoke's fans are awesome. They Again, they don't like us much, and but I think they're brutal like that to every team that comes in
They
the
are. They
building.
are. It's just
And like I don't know what it is, and you're right, they're always a good team. But to me, it's that Pensacola heat, and it seems like we never like play a great game there.
yeah.
We're always just like we won lately, but it's like a struggle. It seems like it's slow, it's sloppy. It's just really humid, and the ice is really slow. And it's tough when you're a fast team to play in that environment. And they have the two national anthems, and then they have like it takes forever to start a game, and it's but they do a good job, man. Like they do like Little Richie a little bit, like Mystery Alaska. They
Oh
just slow you
yeah, yeah.
down.
Why is he
They
singing the
slow.
Canadian national anthem?
I
The
know
Rangers all freeze
they
up.
slow they slow you down, and it's tough, man. It's tough. So for me, every time I go to Pensy, if we're 2 days before, I enjoy the beach for a day, but I know the games we're going to have to really scratch and claw to win those.
We're running low on time, but I want to get your take on the Stanley Cup Finals. By the time we're recording this, Florida's won two straight. They lead 2-1 over the Edmonton Oilers. What's your take on the finals right now? And is the style that Florida plays a kind of flexible, high skill, but also high energy and high physicality? Do you think that is going to be more the style we're going to see more of the NHL as opposed to the solely high skill, almost European like, where it's solely focused on skill, kind of exemplified by the Edmonton Oilers or the Blackhawks or the Penguins back in the day?
I do believe that it's a copycat league.
Okay.
So anytime a team wins, like let's say they win again, that's three finals in a row, that's two Stanley Cups in a row. People are going to start, being copycats. So they're going to try to find a little bit more toughness. And what I love about Florida is really they play like pure urban hockey.
Mm.
They play the same thing. Like they're hard to play. They finish a check sometimes. They're on the line of being a little late or not, and they're tough. Yet they play with extra. They have depth. Their third line is phenomenal depth of skill, but it's hard skill. And remember last year when we lost Hags and McPherson, I told you that we lost, and Jimmer wasn't there yet. We had lost a lot of our hard skill. You have to have those guys that have skill yet plays a game extremely hard, goes to the net, do the little things for you to be champions. And right now, Florida's playing extremely well. I would never bet against two of the top three NHL players in the world in McDavid and Draisaitl. Yet, I think Florida's got a deeper team, and they play. I call it real hockey.
Mhm.
They play hockey that's hard
Yeah.
to play against.
They're doing the 95% too.
They're and every shift, and it's line after line. They could put the Barkov line, they could put the third line in Marchand. Any line just looks like each other because they all do the same thing. They all play fast, they play with skill, they play heavy, they go to the net, and they rotate. So I mean, their D are always leaning. So they play a lot of like the Ruben play, except at in the NHL level, which is a little bit higher level than us. But no, they're fun to watch. I'm a Canadian. I want a Canadian team to win it soon, but I like too much the way Florida plays because they remind me a lot of us when we play well.
All right, Guy, I'm going to give you a chance to answer the call of your native country. If you got a chance, pretend you're on the Edmonton bench or you're part of the Edmonton coaching staff. You got to find a way to go into game 4 and win it to turn this into a best of 3 series. But Florida has just been grinded down to Edmonton. What changes would you make, if any at all, for Edmonton to try to get them back into this series, you think?
Well, one, your breakout. So Florida's a very heavy forechecking team, and they don't stop. Their reloads are phenomenal. And I think Edmonton's trying to be a little too pretty sometimes. As long as the puck is an inch past the blue line, that's a breakout. It doesn't matter if it's clean or a lot against Florida. I always say make it races a little bit more instead of being that clean. And then to me, it's Edmonton's good when they get a few power plays early. And there's ways to draw penalties. And I know they're all smart on both sides of the ice, but there is ways to draw penalties. And I think Zach Hyman has missed that way because he would draw those hard penalties at second, third effort when a D has to hook him because he beat him to the race. And nobody's really drawing those penalties early for Draisaitl and McDavid to get a point or feel good about themselves. And when they get a point early, they're going to get 2, 3, or 4 in a game. And if a player gets 2, 3 points in a game, you're pretty much guaranteed to win in the playoffs unless Edmonton goaltending is average. And that's the biggest thing. And don't get me wrong, Florida, I think, scored 5 goals in 11 games or 12 games in these playoffs, which is a record. Mm-hmm. Yet, I just think Florida's deeper. So if Edmonton doesn't have early power play, score a goal or two, feel good about themselves, and then actually stop being so pretty on the breakout, it's okay against Florida to rim the puck to get it out. And then live to fight another day. When there's going to be a clean breakout that presents itself to you, then use it. If not, if they're in their heavy forecheck, don't try to be fancy. Just get the puck out because Florida makes you make turnovers because of the pressure, and then they're all over you and they don't stop, and they know. So those are the 2 biggest things for Edmonton. Early power plays, McDavid, Draisaitl feel good about themselves, and then after that, stop being fancy on those breakouts. And then, of course, like me, goaltending's everything. Yep. You need a big save early or 2 big saves, and then after that, it gets your team confident in you. They can take a little bit more chances offensively instead of just thinking defense because they're scared that every shot's going to go in. So there's those 3 things I think are the main things for the Edmonton Oilers.
Call them up, let them know.
You know what? Those coaches are so smart that they go through all that with a fine-tooth comb. So they know what they have to do. But like you said, sometimes the message doesn't pass through when it's always the same person. But I think McDavid, I always say those generational players, it seems like they always win a cup.
Yeah.
It's very rare that, a Mario Lemieux, a Wayne Gretzky, a Sidney Crosby, a Ovechkin, all those guys win cups at sometimes because they can do it by themselves. Yeah. So you never bet against, they have 2 of them. They have 2 generational players. So it's always scary because if one goes off one game and then Draisaitl the next game gets 3 goals, that could be 2 win and all of a sudden it's 3-2. So, but I think they need power play early to feel good about themselves.
Last question for you, Guy, before I let you go very briefly. We're coming up on Father's Day. Got any plans for the family to honor the big Papa Bear?
No, I'm going to see Coco and Annie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she made the play, and she actually has one of the main roles. She's one of the orphans, the important orphans in Annie. So I'm gonna go see that for Father's Day. And when you get to my age, it's all about like being thankful. You're thankful you have a great family. They're healthy right now. So I don't care about if they get me anything. I just want to be with them and spend the day. And I'm lucky enough that I don't have camps this weekend. I had a camp last weekend. This weekend I'm free. So I'm gonna go see the play, maybe go to a restaurant, have a little food with the kids and enjoy Sunday, and then we'll go right back at it Monday. So no, there's not much. As a father, I just feel fortunate enough to have some great kids and that they're all healthy.
A lot to be thankful for if you're a Riverman fan, especially because of the fact that you got Jean-Guy Trudel, one of the best ever do it behind the bench. Not just a great coach, great person as well. Guy, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your Father's Day. Enjoy the time of your family. we'll talk to you again later on the off.
Make sure you tell Papa Ruff Happy Father's Day for me, buddy.
Will, absolutely. Thank
All
you.
right, buddy. Nice talking to you, big man.
Nice talking to you.